Who were the Native Americans? Most people's view of the Native Americans comes from depictions that treat them more like symbols than men. However, the Native Americans were in fact very complex. They were a very diverse group of people who had highly developed empires and whose population was about the same size as Europe's. Several different migrations led to the Native American peoples being very different from one another. The Native Americans progressively crossed from Asia to America by a land bridge. Thus, their cultures differed greatly. The earlier tribes came to America, the farther down they traveled into the Americas. In 1996, two college students in Washington state found a human skeleton in the Columbia River. Scientists thought that looked like a European, but when they tested his DNA, they found that he was over 9,000 years old, and his closest relative was descended from the Innu, indigenous people of Japan from the 15th century. As Dr. David Reich states, there are at least 3 deep lineages in Native Americans populations. The Asian lineage leading to the first Americas is the most anciently diverged, whereas the Eskimos are more closely related to the modern Asians. Some of the Native Americans had immense empires. For instance, the Incas had originally settled in southern Peru. They expanded to have a population of about 16 million people, with roads spanning 25,000 miles. They farmed their land using irrigation systems and had innovative architectures in their cities. The Native Americans often had complicated sacrificial practices. When the Incas celebrated their emperor's death, they had a tradition of child sacrifices. Parents gave their children to the sacrificial priests. They were isolated for months and forced to eat as much as possible. When the time came, the priest led them on a final journey through the mountains. Then he gave them cocaine and alcohol before strangling them or tying them up and leaving them to die. In the Mayan Diego de Lanza, the sacrificial victim was painted blue and led to the top of a pyramid. The Nacome cut open his chest and tore out his heart. The body was thrown down the temple stairs. At its largest, the population of the Americas was the same size as Europe. However, 90% of the Native Americans died before the majority of the settlers arrived in America. Because the Europeans lived in close proximity to the animals, they became immune to diseases such as smallpox. When the Spaniards came, they transmitted the diseases to the Native Americans, leaving only 10% of their population alive. One example of a civilization quickly diminishing is the tribe that lived in Cahokia. They had an empire of about 10,000 people located near St. Louis. Timothy Pekatat says, "For a time, Cahokia was the center of ancient society in North America. They built a channel to carry logs from the Mississippi to their town. However, one year the Mississippi flooded, destroying the town and drowning most of the people." However the media depicts the Native Americans, they were very much real people who were very diverse, with highly developed empires and traditions, and with populations much larger than we imagine. Thank you.